Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about my informative speech, obviously. But I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys about what my informative speech is going to be about, and it's actually going to be about how to throw a proper and amazing Super Bowl party. So I'm a big sports fan. I've said that earlier in the semester, and I've said that in my other speeches. But I'm a massive sports fan, and I love going to Super Bowl parties. I've thrown some. I've been to some. I've done everything when it comes to Super Bowl parties. So I feel like very informed on this topic, and I've seen lots of different ideas and things that I think work best and don't work, and things that people enjoy and are like crowd favorites when it comes to doing a Super Bowl party. So um, I want to just first run through the different things that I'm going to be listing off, and then I'm going to go through them in detail, each thing that I've said. So in this Super Bowl party, I feel like that you must have drinks. Obviously, you must have different drinks ranging from sodas, maybe some juices, and definitely there should be water there so that people can stay hydrated. And when it gets hot, because there's lots of people in the room and lots of people in the house, that they're able to stay hydrated and not get stressed out with that. But everybody loves soda. Everybody loves Dr. Pepper is a favorite. Coke is a favorite. Root beer is a big one that people love when they go to Super Bowl parties. So those are just some ideas on drinks. But I think that a big deal that a lot of people overlook is that they should have options for vegans, maybe vegetarians, and a big one is gluten allergy. There's a lot of people nowadays finding out that they're allergic to certain glutens, and we would just want to make sure that they're able to be accommodated for, so that they don't feel unwelcome or like they can't eat or they can't do anything that they're supposed to be doing at the party, because they want to be able to enjoy it just as much as we do. I think a big thing, especially with us being Christians and us being people of faith, I think that it should be kid friendly. I believe that there maybe shouldn't be alcohol, maybe there shouldn't be certain things that we allow, bad words, yelling, screaming, things that aren't welcoming to a kid, because we want families to be involved and we want families to be invited to these different things. And so I think making it kid friendly is a big piece to adding it that people really overlook as well. I think as a host, I think a big deal would be dressing up. I think that's just a big thing that people need to do, is dress up as a host and just make that environment continue to just flourish. But I also think that a big one should be having games, and I think that's just an obvious one, but I think that that's something that I can go into more detail on as I go on with this speech. But that's just the things that I'm going to be talking about. And yeah, so let me just get right into it. I think a big one that people overlook, but I think that is always key, is having a nice television, a big television. Maybe if you don't have one, it's not that big of a deal, but I think that it sets a mood. If there's a big TV or maybe even a projector that someone has, it allows the opportunity for more people. If you have a big party, it allows them to all come in and watch at the same time and not have to. But if you have smaller TVs, maybe you can place multiple around the house so that people can watch at once, so that some people don't feel welcome to not being able to see what's going on during the game, because that's obviously why they're there, is to watch the Super Bowl. So if there's a big TV, then it definitely helps. But I also think having big speakers is a big one. If you have speakers and you can hear the crowd noise, and you can hear the players talking, and you can hear the commentators clearly what they're saying, I think that's a big one, as well as you can play maybe some background music during the game, just so that it stays a cool vibe throughout the rest of the house for people that aren't watching. But I think speakers really keep people involved, because they can hear, maybe if they're in another room or if they're in a different part of the house, they can still hear what's going on with the game as if it was a radio, if they're not keeping their eyes locked on it, and still stay involved with maybe what the score is or what's going on in the game, or if someone got hurt or anything like that. I think another big one is just having the flow of it run through the house, and it be very sporadic placement through the things. I think that it should be strategically placed. So I think when you walk in, I think a really cool idea would be to have drinks. I think that that's a big one, is just to walk in and have coolers maybe there that they can choose from, and automatically open up like a bottle of root beer or something, and have a can opener there that they can, or a bottle opener there that they can use. I think obviously the food should be in the kitchen and placed maybe on a table and some mats. And I think a cool idea with doing foods like that would be like football themed, or things that are crafty, but I'll get into that as well. And I think having games outside would be a big one. There can be games that you have inside as well, but I think if you go outside, maybe there's horseshoes. At my house, I have horseshoes, and so whenever we throw a party, we include horseshoes, and we also have frisbee because I love frisbee. And then obviously because it's a Super Bowl, you can have a football out there that the guys can be playing football with, or they can do anything with, just like to throw around or have fun. And I think a big one that people love whenever they go to Super Bowl parties is cornhole. Cornhole is always going to be one of the biggest games that people love doing. So I think if you make it feel like a tailgate, because I know when I went to my first game, I really, really wanted to play some cornhole, and I wanted to play games, and that was probably the most enjoying part of it. As someone who goes to a tailgate into a secular football game, and I don't drink or I don't do anything like that, so being able to play the games, it made it really enjoyable and made me still feel welcomed because I didn't do things that other people were doing. Um, and like back into the food, like I was talking about, I think keeping the food crafty. I think if you do football themed food, if you like maybe make a cake and it's shaped like a football and it's drawn like a football, or if you have certain things inserted in the cupcakes or anything that makes it look more football, I think it adds to the vibe, as well as I've even seen this article by the by a food recipe company called Taste of Home, and they actually they said to make maybe a food stadium, so having like a cake in the middle that's shaped like an entire football stadium, and then around it having food to just make it look even cooler, and like as if all of the food is just one stadium and it's a big piece together. And I think an important part is to have what a crowd favorite has when it comes to food. I think if you have nachos, I think every time you go to a stadium or every time you go to a sporting event, I think nachos is a big one. So I think if you're going to have that football vibe, I think it needs to be in the house as well as wings. Wings are probably the number one food when it comes to a Super Bowl party, just because everybody loves wings and it's easy and it's handheld and you can individually pick it rather than doing different servings and stuff like that. And then hot dogs. Everybody loves hot dogs when they go to the game or whenever they go to a Super Bowl party. Hot dogs on the grill or anything is just a really welcoming feel when it comes to also, like I was saying, keeping that football vibe. And then just a big one is definitely dessert. People love dessert, and I think that that's one of just the last things that I had to say is just if you're gonna have dessert, I think that it needs to be something that is very well known, that people know about, and that is something that everybody can enjoy. If someone doesn't like chocolate cake, then I think that you maybe should do just a bland color or bland flavor that everybody would love. But I think just to wrap this up, I think the very last thing that I would say is just dress up, make it fun, make it interesting. Wear jerseys, maybe do some eye paint, maybe do some ref jerseys, do something to make it feel like, hey, this is my home and I'm welcoming you into what's going on here. So thank you guys for paying attention, and I hope that this helped.